Hello and welcome to day 59 of Dungeon 23. There was an error with recording, so I had to scrap it twice. So I'm just going to speed through this because this, on top of being day 59, is also going to be a little bit of an update for the channel. So immediately you could tell there's a lot of blackness on the screen. That's because I filled in all the negative unused space with black, so that way it's a lot more easy to see what actually is part of the dungeon and what isn't, because, you know, with the thin lines, it's kind of hard to tell. That's like the most obvious one. The second one is that we did connect up the corridors we wanted to. The way I have it set up here is that the switch room connects to the corridor with the method generator and the bottle goblin and the goblin who has his little, not drawbridge, but traffic stop arm parking garage thing. I don't know what it's called. And that corridor connects to the switch room as well as the exit room. And then of course that exit room connects to the slime room through a small corridor. It connects to that secret room, the giant chest, the ball pit, the imp room, and then the blind hook horror's neck. And that nest room, that corridor connects all the way back down again, both to the switch room. And originally it just ended there, and I closed off that bottom doorway. So I erased that and connected it to that, so you could push it to more places. Or rather, you could take a different route to push things different places. And with that, that is basically all of our changes. Tomorrow, we're going to be starting the first room of floor 2. I have a few ideas for monsters. Not monsters. Yeah, some monsters. But also like the layout of the rooms and how I want things to go. I have a few ideas, like I said. The problem is, like, how I want to place them out is kind of sketchy. I'll sleep on it, think about what I want to do. I'm fairly confident it's going to be more of like the first 2 rooms where there's not really a gimmick. And then once we get to like level 5, 6, 7, going down deeper, then we're going to have like more so full gimmick levels. Like I said before, one idea I wanted was an entire level that's underwater. Or an entire level that is like a city, like a goblin city or something like that. And they'll of course inform the layout of how the room works. Maybe one where instead of like all these right angles, a lot more diagonal angles. You know. Or maybe one where it's a lot more curves, like it's a lot more loose. I don't know, a lot more naturalistic. Something like that. But that's all going to be later. And on top of later, with this done, I also have a few updates, kind of updates, for the channel. Basically, things I want to do in the future, or that I'm currently working on now. One kind of group of videos I want to do is relating to making a OSR setting. One that is not related to Dungeon 23 directly. And the way I plan on doing that is with a separate challenge thing that came out not super recently. Well, not super, like a couple weeks ago at most. And it is something called Gygax 75. Basically, in 1975, a few months, maybe like even a month after Gary Gygax first published the first D&D, which was basically just a loose collection of kind of incomplete rules that you needed another rulebook to have. It was a whole thing that didn't include its own setting, so you had to make your own up. And it was basically his article explaining how to come up with a good setting and how to like make a good world for your game to take place in. And if anyone has ever read anything Gary Gygax wrote, it's a very free-form, very train of thought, kind of disorganized. And what someone did was they took that article and then rewrote it and reorganized it so it's a lot more streamlined, a lot more easy to understand. And they also included a checklist. And like the challenge is basically you do these 4 main steps, and then there's like sub steps, and you do 1 a week, and then at the end of it you have 4 weeks, that's a month, and then by the end of the month you have your whole setting done. I don't know if I'm going to do that, or I might do it, but I'm not going to make a whole video series about it. It's just going to be one video, and then I might have follow-up videos for the different aspects and themes I'm going to have in that setting, and like the gameplay concessions. The 3 ideas I basically had were the gritty realism rules of 5th edition, because it is going to be a 5th edition game, just going to be more OSR feel. The gritty realism rules of you don't regain as many hit points, it takes longer to rest, that kind of thing. A limited amount of hit points, basically limiting how much HP players get. Not necessarily their level, but the amount of HP they get per level, or maybe they don't get HP per level, it's only certain levels. I don't want to go into it in depth too much because that's what that video is going to be for. And the other two are going to be, or rather the other one, is going to be making spellcasters not need to use spell slots. Instead, it's a skill check. And basically how that works, how it all goes, all that stuff. All that OSR nonsense, all the different ideas and concessions, maybe even one about like carrying capacity, will all be their own videos tying into that main video of here is I don't want to say grimdark, because grimdark is kind of like a parody of what I actually want to go for, of like here is a low magic medieval European fantasy setting that is quite brutal. It's brutalistic, it's harsh, it's cruel, and how it works with this modified version of 5th edition. The main thing I want to focus on, or rather the first thing I want to focus on. The second thing is something to do with AI. I've recently got a lot of access to AI tools, and I did make a post a while ago using an AI generated image of Kermit the Frog, and I basically this idea for a meme that was like 7 seconds, but I never got around to doing it, and the whole fad of it kind of ended. I may make it eventually, I don't know. It's on hiatus now, but what I'm focusing now on is basically like a short video, maybe even a series if it gets popular enough, of the presidents play Dungeons & Dragons. Using AI voices, I'm going to have the presidents argue about Dungeons & Dragons because it's funny. I like those president gamer videos, but I want it to be something that I understand because it's funny hearing the presidents walk through this I have no idea why Call of Duty has like a 37-step cult initiation ritual to like unlock an Easter egg. But watching the presidents go through it with like tactical consideration is hilarious. And I want to kind of have that for D&D. The other thing is just a bunch of Dagoth memes because I love Morrowind. I have plans of doing like a Let's Play series of it in the future at some point. I just need to get a friend of mine to join because I want to do a Morrowind multiplayer series. And I just love Dagoth. He's one of the best villains of any of the games. Despite the fact that his boss fight's kind of underwhelming. He is very, very charismatic. He is hilarious. He is interesting. His lore is amazing. And just, I really like the memes. He's great. I've been doing like an inside joke with some of my D&D players about how I got stuck in a Neomidium while playing Morrowind, so now Dagoth has to run the games. It's really funny. And I just want to make more of those for more like just general shenanigans. I don't know. I'll think of something funny. But those are the two main things I want to do. One is based on making a setting using Gary Gygax's own considerations. The second one is just random AI stupid nonsense. And that's kind of where I want my channel to be. Hopefully it causes growth. I don't really have any other ideas for anything else. I wanted to kind of maybe do reviews of stuff, but I'm not really good with like essays. I'd love to do podcasts again, but just it's so hard to get people who have time. I don't know. We'll do something. It's not just gonna be those two things, but anyway, that's day 59, and that was the update. Sorry for the poor quality. It's not gonna get any better.